G'day Spurs fans, Paul Hotspur hippie here, the only psychedelic soccer show on the internet. Bit of a dreary day here in Sydney, but I think I come with some good news perhaps. All the talk of huge splits in the fan base over Timo Werner seem to be pretty much non-existent as far as I can see. I've been having a browse around the Spursosphere, and I think, my general summary is some people are a bit disappointed, some people think it will work out, no one thinks it's particularly terrifying, except, the usual corners of the Spursosphere. So it's all full steam ahead on the Ange Postecoglou choo-choo. And I'm seeing some people saying that Ange Postecoglou is a Levy yes man. So I'd like to give you both sides of this argument as I can determine them. I might get this wrong, but who cares? It's only the internet, eh? My argument for Ange not being a yes man would stem from his time as Australian manager. In Australia, he took over just before the 2014 World Cup, got us playing really well. Didn't get good results, to be fair, but we played some good football. And it was a real transitional time in Australian football. We were just coming out of an era where basically all our first 11 players were Premier League players, Serie A, La Liga, Bundesliga. We had a really good side, and that period was coming to an end. So the challenge that Ange saw was rebuilding that. Now, we won the 2015 Asian Cup, and then we started qualifying for the 2018 World Cup. And really, Football Australia, now Ange has talked a little bit about this, I'm paraphrasing. I think I've got the gist right, because he isn't like sprayed off on it, because he's a bit classier than that. But what was happening during Ange's reign as Australia manager was that he wanted so much more, not just for the Australian national team, but for Australian football in general. He saw that there is a potential here, and it's not the first person to see that. Of course Australia and sport, there is potential no matter what sport it is. It's just a question of funding and all that sort of stuff. But it's not like Australia don't become world champions in nothing. We do quite a bit. Again, it's to do with funding though. Which sports do you fund? So in this period of rebuilding, Ange wanted to build something special, secure Australia's future, and I don't know if I heard him say this, but I'll say it for him. He wanted to be in the World Cup to win the bloody thing. To win the bloody World Cup. Maybe not this time, maybe 4 years, 8 times, but somewhere down the track, Australia has to compete and win a World Cup. I know there's other great football people in Australia that have had that sentiment, like I think Craig Foster said it, Johnny Warren certainly said it, Les Murray. There's no reason why it couldn't happen. I mean, it won't happen at the moment because it's a mess. It's an absolute mess, and that mess is caused by Football Australia. Now, they started getting the heebie-jeebies with Ange and his highfalutin plans, because as far as Football Australia are concerned, all they want to do is just qualify for the World Cup. Now, this might sound reminiscent of a certain football club that's dear to our hearts. So the owners of Football Australia didn't really care about competing. They only just wanted to qualify for it, and that was it. And non-qualification was seen as the utmost failure. So their idea was to kind of just keep things patched up, bit of spack filler here, bit of polyfiller, bit of bog, bit of duct tape, just enough to get over the line to qualify for the next World Cup. And that wasn't Ange's way. And in this part of the rebuild, when the qualification happened, we started off with a string of 2, maybe it was 3, might have been 3 defeats on the bounce. And Football Australia and the media were already primed to lay the boot in to Ange Postecoglou. This despite him getting us to perform well at a previous World Cup and win the Asian Cup. I mean, that's not bad. So they're all primed, ready to go. I don't think actual football fans were against Ange though. That's the feeling I got. I think fans that enjoyed football saw through all that stuff. There was a lot of agendas going. And so what did Ange do? This apparent yes man, when faced with the ongoing job of just getting us to qualify for the World Cup when he wanted to build something better. Well, we qualified for the World Cup and he buggered off, he quit, he resigned. It was like the same day or the day after. It was very close to when we played our last qualification match that got us through. And he just said, no, I'm not doing it. So there you go. I mean, that is a case for my Ange not being a yes man. I mean, what manager anywhere in the world would turn down going to a World Cup? I mean, on principle. There's probably a few, to be fair, but Ange is definitely one of them. It was a point of principle. He wanted to build something so much better for Australia and Australian football, and the suits and the powers that be weren't letting him have his way or do what he said. They just wanted to have a seat at the World Cup table once every 4 years. That was the level of their ambition. So Ange said, no, I'm not going to the World Cup, I'm going. Left without a job, and then was approached by Yokohama, and the rest is history. But there's no way, I don't think, that Ange at that point would have been thinking, oh, I'll quit Australia and get a job in the Premier League, because he had to do a number of surprising steps to get to the Premier League. He was probably, 53 at the time he quit Australia, something like that. So he might already be thinking, well, those things are beyond me, or I don't know. It's certainly not a given that you're going to step out of Australia's number one job and manage Crystal Palace or something like that. Football doesn't work that way. So there you go. Ange, the yes man, on a point of principle, when he didn't get backing, said goodbye to a World Cup. Now, the argument on the other side, which I've heard, is I don't think Timo Werner's a good enough player for Spurs, but we've extended him. Therefore, Ange Postecoglou must be a Levy yes man, and therefore I'm Ange out. I mean, it's preposterous, absolutely preposterous. And then, thankfully, this stinky feeling, I mean, it's permeated a little bit into the comments on my videos and when I'm doing a live stream. But when you break it down like that, the lack of any reasoning or rationale is basically, I don't like a player, so if I don't like him, Ange mustn't have liked him, but he signed him anyway. Therefore, Ange is a Levy shill, coining it in. Makes so little sense to me. So little sense. And that's really the whole split that people are on about. And like I said, I'm looking around the Spursosphere. I'm not seeing a split at all. I'm not saying everyone was happy with Timo, but no one was throwing the dummy out of the cot, were they? Except a few people, based on just what they reckon, instead of what I base my opinion on in this instance, and that's seeing what Ange has done over the last 25 years, seeing how he's behaved, seeing how he's acted, and seeing that, as far as I'm concerned, he is a matter of principle person, and if the board does dick him around, he won't be hanging around, believe you me. And he would certainly not be sitting in press conferences saying, yeah, he is being supported by the club. There's no way, man. But, if you want to think that Ange is a yes man because we've signed a player you don't like, that's up to you, man. The Spursosphere. It never ceases to amaze me. But it is the silly part of the season, isn't it? Where we've got basically another 2 weeks of bugger all to talk about football-wise, because the window isn't open. So I guess the usual people have got to have little dramas over things, haven't they? And by my last recollection, a lot of the sort of people out there that are now masks off, Ange out, not because he's a bad manager, no, it's because he's a yes man, even though they never supported him in the first place. They were also City till July, so that even narrows the split even more, because they're not even Tottenham fans at this moment in time, not for another 4 weeks at least, so their opinions are irrelevant. Very shouty, very it's the usual grift, isn't it? I'm being cancelled and silenced even though people are watching me. Even shenanigans going on with subscriber counts. People buying subscribers. Oh, I mean, that is so lame. Oh dear. But the internet's a funny old place. I'm sure there's lots of YouTube channels out there in all walks of life thinking it has got any point to buying subscribers. I mean, the most counterproductive thing you could possibly do with your channel is do something like that, I reckon. But there you go. It's a funny old world. I'm looking forward to the transfer window opening on the 15th of June so we can get some proper meat to get our teeth into and just move away from these irrelevant, noisy pretend fans that just like to argue about bloody anything and then play the victim when they get a bit of a finger poke back at them. I don't know, man. It's all about Tottenham for me. And don't forget, next season quadruple. There we go. Peace and love, man. Come on, you Spurs.